In this video, we'll explore terrifying experiences shared by fellow YouTubers. But we want to hear from you too. We're on the hunt for real-life ghost stories, eerie encounters, and supernatural sightings from our amazing community. If you've had an experience that made your hair stand on end, send it to my email address in the description box. Your story could be featured in an upcoming video. So, turn off the lights, grab a spooky snack, and let's explore the unknown together. Happy haunting!
So I'm going to tell you something today that happened to myself and my husband. This happened around about 11 years ago, 10 or 11 years ago. And when it happened after, a few years after we dug up the plant that I told you about in that last video. And it happened a few years before my grandmother died, so it was right in the middle of that time. When we were dating, we always used to go to this one particular town, and there's a really pretty big iconic 1900s hotel in this town. We decided for our anniversary to do a long weekend, and we thought we were going to book that hotel and stay there. It's like a hotel in the UK. I will say, with all due respect, if you don't believe in this stuff, that's your business. When you live in a house like the one that I grew up in, you've got witnesses, not just family members but friends, trust me, you believe it. I have actually got photos of this hotel because what happened was so creepy that towards the end of it, I don't know why, but we took loads of photos and I found them on an old laptop, so I'm going to show you them as I go through. On day one, we checked in, left our luggage in the room and went straight out. The first night is when we noticed something kind of weird was going on. So we went to bed, and when we went to bed, we could hear, so the room to the bathroom was at the end of the bed. It sounded like there was someone in the bathroom moving around, but we knew there was no one in the room. At the same time, when we put the light out, it felt like there was someone staring at you, and it was really weird. It made it really, really difficult to sleep. And I would always liken that kind of feeling, if you, I know some of you said you'd experienced that, but if you haven't, it feels exactly like that when the hairs go up on the back of your neck as a human. Let's say you're walking along and someone's following you, you know. The next morning, it was so bad we asked to be moved to another room. I didn't tell reception what the problem was. Now, when we went on this trip, it was the height of summer, and the only free room available was this, it was a massive upgrade and we didn't have to pay extra for it. And it was a room that overlooked the front of the hotel. It was really big. It had like an area that had like a sitting roomy sofa thing there. The bathroom was really nice. These pictures do make it look really dated, but you know, it was like 10 years ago. Again, we put our stuff in the room first thing in the morning and we went straight out. When we got back to this room at the end of the first day, we got back quite early, as I remember, because we were really tired from the night before and not sleeping the night before. So we thought, right, we're going to go and have an early night's sleep and then wake up fresh for the rest of the trip. The second room we were in didn't feel like the first one. It didn't feel like there was anyone in it. But when I was in that room, I had like, it's really weird. There was this heavy sense of anxiety. And like proper sick in the pit of your stomach, like anxiety. And I remember that vividly, but I also remember in the room, you know, the tea and coffee facilities, I remember drinking loads of peppermint tea because I thought it was me. I thought maybe I had a stomach upset, but then whenever I'd left the room and we went out in the day, I'd say to David, oh, it's really weird. Like, I feel fine. I can go and eat lunch and stuff. But when I get back to that room, I feel really, really sick and really stressed. Like I don't want to be in it. So we've gone to bed. David fell asleep. I didn't sleep in that room the whole time we were there. Now, on the first night, I didn't think this was anything connected to anything. But in the early hours of the morning, there was quite a loud sound of people in the corridors. Loud voices, not audible, you couldn't hear what they were saying or anything, but it was loud voices. And I thought that it was people that had come home late from, you know, a bar or something like that. And I remember it going on for quite a while and think, you know, when I say quite a while, I mean like half an hour. Next day we went out again. The third night, so we're in this place for 4 nights. The third night, neither of us could sleep. still this kind of anxious feeling that you didn't have when you weren't in the room. And by this point, David kind of agreed with it, and we thought we'd eaten something funny, but then we both agreed that, hey, when we went out, why do we feel okay? On that third night, we heard again the people in the corridor. It went on for about the same amount of time. So I would say about half an hour to an hour. It wasn't sort of like 10 minutes, which would take people to get back into their rooms and go to bed. It was people out in the corridor for a while. David went and checked, looked out the door, couldn't see anyone, could hear it, but it was quieter outside the door than it was in the room. And then again, on the final night, there was this noise in the corridor. This is how we got the pictures. The pictures of the room I took when we first got there. Then the pictures on the other pictures we took on the final night. On the final night, we decided, let's go and find out where these annoying people are. We went out for a walk in the hotel. We're walking around and we can't catch up with the voices. We can hear them. They don't get any louder. This is the thing. They're staying on a constant volume. It's not like you turn a corner and they get louder, but we couldn't catch up with them basically, and we tried 2 different floors because we could hear them on 2 different floors, but we couldn't track it down. On the final day, we left our luggage with reception. We went out for the final day. By the final day, we didn't stay in the town the whole final day because we were shattered. We sat on a bench that was across the main road that faced the hotel. I said to David, I wonder what the history is of this place. I know it's really, really old, so I wouldn't be amazed if there are any weird goings on with it. Again, having lived in a really creepy old house, yeah, I kind of do believe that now. So anyway, Googled this hotel. Turns out it's actually got its own Wikipedia page. There was a picture of the hotel on the top of the Wikipedia page, and it had like a massive blown out hole on the front of it. And when we read the information, it explained about the hotel, quite a popular sort of Victorian place to go. But additionally, a bomb had apparently been put in there. I can't remember when, 80s, 90s, not sure. And when we saw this picture on Wikipedia, we looked at the picture, and the first thing I thought is, in that explosion, which had taken out several rooms, where's our room? Which one's our room? And we looked up, okay, so by this point we're both really like mind blown because we didn't know about this. We looked up and counted the rooms, and it turned out that I think the bomb went off on the 6th floor or something. We were, say, floor 4. As the bomb went off, it took with it all of the rooms below, and then debris fell into the bar, which was underneath all of these rooms, so it took out multiple different floors. Our room was one of the rooms that smashed through, and I think a couple of people died. Lots of people were injured, but I think maybe 5 people died because apparently the bomb went off in the early hours of the morning. When I read it, I immediately felt like that's got to be the anxiety, and that's in that room. That weird sickness in your stomach. I'm gonna be sick. Why is it when I'm in this room I feel very anxious? I don't want to really be in here. Beautiful hotel, but it's kind of creepy. And can you see where there's been a bomb? So it took with it the room that we were in. So it was this one here with the balcony on the front. But can you see there's all debris that's fallen through that room, where it's kind of gone through all of those rooms there. So the final thing we did before going to collect our luggage and going home, we found out the room number that the bomb went off in. And out of curiosity, we thought, let's find the room number and find out if it really is above our room. Even though we knew it was above our room, to be honest, there was just some curiosity there anyway. So we went up to the relevant floor. We found the area of corridor that was above the corridor we were in. And we found the door of the room where the bomb went off. We took a photo of the door number because the room number, when it happened, had either been moved or it didn't exist. So do you see what I mean? So that you couldn't actually track that room back to this is the one that definitely had the bomb in it. Let's say the bomb room was like 604. That room wasn't 604. Do you know what I mean? It was the room, but the number had changed. After we got back from that trip, I went to see my grandmother, who was in a nursing home at that point. And I told her about our trip, and I said, oh, you're gonna find this really, really odd. And I told her about the bombing. She remembered it. When I told her about what had happened there, particularly that first room, my grandmother was someone who was, you know, she was from a war generation. If you went to her and you were upset or you were stressed, she'd tell you, pull yourself together. She never let any feelings show. Now, in the past, when we'd lived at home in this creepy house, we had all said to her and my granddad, oh my God, this house is creepy. And my granddad used to babysit us sometimes and was a bit like, he always used to say, I put you guys to bed and then I'd think you got back up again, but there was no one there because I could hear someone up and down the corridor. But my gran didn't want to believe it. Towards the end of her life though, and when I told her about this, that was kind of towards the end, I told her what had happened, and I was fully expecting for her to go, do you know something? This is like, don't, you know, it's stupid. Instead, she told me something that I was really shocked about because I never thought I would hear it from her. She was such a level-headed, very serious person. And she told me that in her life, whenever something, just before something bad was about to happen, she always used to see her mother, who was dead, and the first time it happened, she didn't connect it to, okay, I've seen my mum, brace yourself. But after a few, like let's say a decade, she tied the two things together. And even like, for example, when her sister died, she didn't know her sister was going to die, but she told me, I saw my mum a couple of times, knew something was going to happen, didn't know what, and then she'd actually been out shopping one day, and when she got home my granddad told her. So in a way, to hear it from someone like her who's really straight-laced and no nonsense and doesn't really believe in anything like that, to actually hear that she actually had experienced stuff, and I said to her, why have you never said anything? And she was like, because it's weird and it's not something, she does not believe in ghosts, but she had witnessed something that was blatantly a ghost. It went against her core values and her core beliefs to admit that that existed. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't know, I might do some more of these stories because I just have so many to tell you, you know, like over the last, oh my God, years and years, I've got so many things I can tell you, weird stuff. So I can do more, but I don't know, let me know what you think. I'd love it if you would share your experiences below, because a lot of you have told me that you didn't believe, and then let's say someone died in your life and you knew that you were, every so often you'd smell them near you, or you'd feel them near you, and without doubt, or you'd have like a sign, like really weird stuff that isn't actually anything to do with grief. I think a lot of the time when that happens, it can be assumed of, oh, you're grieving, so they're in your mind and you want them to be there. But actually a lot of the time this stuff happens like 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, when you're over that grieving phase and you're not sat there dwelling on them and then you imagine them being there.